It might not be right now, but we want to help you become a homeowner in the future, and what steps you need to take in terms of saving for down payment or paying off other debts so you can become a homeowner. It's finding somebody that's willing to just, answer your questions, take the time to help you understand, become educated within the process, right?
And that's invaluable. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and our new episode. I'm Robert Hoffman, your host with Veterans Guide, and today we got Jodi Ulrich back from Novus Home Mortgage. Jodi, thank you for coming.
Yeah, Robert, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here to share my experience with you guys, and I've been doing home loans for over 22 years, so it's always great to just come back, answer questions, and figure out how we can help more veterans get into homes, making that dream a reality. So thanks for having me.
All right, Jodi, let's start with the basics. How do VA home loans work?
Yeah, the VA home loan process isn't that much different than just a regular home loan process. The big difference is this VA guarantee. And what that is it acts as an insurance policy for the lender in case of default. That guarantees generally 25% of the home loan. This VA guarantee is what allows veterans to get 100% financing on their home loan, which is a great way to get into a property with very little money down. So yeah, it's a really good process, and just what a wonderful benefit that the VA offers. It's one of my favorite home loans to do.
So the 25%, do we consider that kind of like, what is that on a normal mortgage, to where like you have to have that insurance?
The private mortgage insurance.
Yeah, PMI,
Yes.
there we go. So is it kind of like guaranteeing, kind of like PMI is, to where you would remove PMI later and then you
Correct.
don't have it on the VA home loan?
Yeah, it's acting in that exact same way, where that
Okay.
conventional loan or more traditional loan that's not VA, you have that private mortgage insurance, which is that insurance policy that's covering the financial institution's losses in case there is a default. In this case, the VA is offering that benefit. But the best part about it is the VA is not charging you on a monthly basis.
So it's cheaper.
It's very, yes, absolutely. It's cheaper for the veterans. It is just one of my favorite veteran benefits that are out there. VA loans, one of the best loans out there in most cases.
Okay, well that's awesome. So pretty much no PMI if you're using a VA home loan because of the 25% guarantee.
That's correct.
Which is hugely beneficial, because I mean, it could be a couple $100s on a mortgage payment every month that you're saving, and that's so big for veteran homeowners, especially with trying times sometimes, and then the way the market goes and everything else like that.
Yes, absolutely.
So I mean, how, if I'm now if I'm looking, how do I qualify for a VA home loan?
Yeah, you want to reach out to a VA-approved home loan lender. You can find those on the benefits.va.gov website. You can reach out to a reputable lender. They can walk you through that home loan process. They're going to take a look at your income. They're going to take a look at your credit and your debts, and they're going to see what you really qualify for. One of the things that we always try to focus on when talking to people and figuring out what they qualify for is, what is that monthly payment? What's a comfortable payment versus more so than the house? Reason being is, when we send homeowners out there, we want them looking at homes that are within their budget, because that's really the most important thing. It's not necessarily what you qualify for, it's what's a comfortable payment to make sure that that's the right fit for you. So yeah, reaching out to a lender and just walking through that process.
Okay. So like during that, like, what do you think some of the major benefits are for a VA home loan?
Wow, there are a lot of benefits to VA home loans. As we talked about, 100% financing, you don't have the need for a down payment. You can certainly put money down on a VA loan, and there's some benefits to doing that as well. But being able to get into a property with no or very little money down is a huge benefit, because it can be a little bit cumbersome to save up for a down payment, especially when you start talking 5 or 10% of the value. So 100% financing is big. We already touched on the no private mortgage insurance.
Oh yeah.
That's a huge savings for our veterans on a monthly basis. Allows them to qualify for a larger loan amount with a lower monthly payment. So that's a really nice benefit. Interest rates do tend to be a little bit lower on veteran loans as well, which definitely is a great benefit. But yeah, so I think those are really the main ones that I'm thinking about.
If you just, I know it's hard, but if you were to just throw out a guesstimate and So you guys know it's just a guesstimate. Like, what would be the slight difference in interest rates? Like just a roundabout like average lower interest.
Yeah. So one of the things that we try to do is we want to compare all loan options, right? So even when somebody comes to us who is a qualified veteran, we want to look at VA loans, but also how does that compare to some of the other loans that are out there, FHA or USDA or conventional loans? And we're really trying to break down, does the VA loan make the most sense? Now, I can tell you from experience,
Yeah.
again, to me, it's the best loan out there. And more times than not, it's going to be the right loan for the consumer. But credit score does come into play. So when we think about their credit scores, we really want to balance that of, okay, where's their credit and how does that affect? Rates do tend to be a quarter to a 0.5% lower in many cases, again, depending on the right credit and the right overall situation, which is also another really nice savings. So
Yeah,
we're going to
so
look at the cost benefit analysis
So
there.
it fluctuates a little bit, just of course based off of your credit scores.
Yep.
In the basics, you're saying about a quarter to a 0.5% benefit on your interest rates.
Absolutely. I think
Okay.
that's a fair assessment is what we see as a generalization.
What about the credit scores? How do they factor? Is there a required minimum to be able to qualify for a VA home loan?
Yeah, so the VA itself doesn't have a credit score minimum. However, many lenders will have a credit score minimum before they lend. So 620 is a really good credit score as a cutoff. There are many that go down to 580, but 620 is a pretty good rule of thumb there. But again, the VA doesn't have that cutoff, so there might be a lender or two that are out there. One thing just to be aware of, though, as your credit scores do get lower, the interest rates tend to be a little bit higher than, let's say, you have a 760 credit score. So,
But it doesn't necessarily eliminate someone. It just they still have an opportunity to get a home with the VA loan.
yeah, absolutely. A common misconception is that VA loans are hard to qualify for. I find that many people qualify for a VA loan that maybe don't qualify for more of a traditional conventional loan. So it is a little bit of a wider pool that you get to play in. So
Awesome.
it's nice.
So can you have more than one VA home loan at the same time?
Absolutely. You can have more than one VA home loan. It has to do with how much entitlement you have in certain circumstances. But if, let's say, you're active military and you get relocated, you might rent out the existing property that you have and want to purchase a new property at your new assignment. So you can have more than one, assuming you have enough entitlement and you qualify from the other aspects. The VA makes it they're really easy to work with in terms of helping veterans get in the home loans.
So you brought up entitlement. Can you explain what that is so a veteran will understand what entitlement is?
Yeah, absolutely. Entitlement is the amount of money that you have in order to give that guarantee. So in buying your first property as a primary residence, there is no limit to the loan limit in terms of how much you can borrow. So you can get up into the $1.5 million, $2 million range, and they're going to give you that 25% guarantee. After that initial use, you're going to have an entitlement calculation of how much entitlement that you have left. So when doing that calculation, it may limit how much you qualify for 100% financing, which would require you to bring somewhat of a down payment. So that's a specific calculation that your lender can do to tell you exactly how much you qualify for before putting down a down payment.
Potentially. It's not like a guarantee you have to have a down payment if you have enough entitlement, right?
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, you could still qualify for 100% financing even if you've previously used your VA guarantee.
So if you go over your limit, just out of curiosity, what is like the down payment requirement or like percentage that someone would pay for a down payment? So if they're in that situation, they know how to kind of like game plan for that kind of situation where they know like, hey, I'm buying my second home. I know it's going to go over my entitlement, so I need to put a down payment. Like they're already expecting that, but then of course, like, just like everyone else doing, especially like first-time home purchases, they have to have a down payment, so they take that time to save up that money. What would that kind of picture look like so they understand?
Yeah, if you qualify for, let's say, a $500,000 home loan at 100% financing, but you want to purchase something at, let's say, $600,000, and you don't have enough entitlement for that full guarantee, every dollar over that $500,000, you need to put down 25 cents. Right.
Okay.
So on a $600,000 purchase, $500,000 loan amount, you would need a $25,000 down payment to make sure you are maintaining the 25% guarantee that the VA wants.
Okay. That's good to know. What are some key eligibility criteria for the VA home loan?
So within the VA home loan, having your certificate of eligibility is big. In order to qualify for a certificate of eligibility, you have to have 6 years in the reserves, or 90 days active military, or 4 years completed service time, honorably discharged. We would get a copy of your DD 214 if we can't find your certificate of eligibility electronically, and we would send that into the VA to make sure that you qualify.
Okay, so you can help them with the eligibility criteria and getting their certificate of eligibility.
Yep.
Without them having to do it themselves, but they can also do it themselves on their own time also, right?
Yes, absolutely. If you have a copy of your certificate of eligibility or you've taken time to request it, that's great, and you can always forward it over to us. Otherwise, if you don't have it, that's not the end of the world. We can actually go in and request it for you, and make sure that we have that for your qualification. So
That's awesome.
Either one works for us.
Yeah, having a good home lender that helps you through that process sometimes is very much needed. But like, how do things work? Like DTI and residual income, like how do they come into play when like applying for these loans?
Yeah, so the DTI that we really look for is a 41%, what they would call back end ratio. And what that means is your housing payment plus all of your other debts. That's kind of the benchmark of where you want to be at. Now, certain circumstances, you can exceed that. You might be able to get to 45 or 50 or even 55% back-end debt-to-income ratio based upon your overall credit profile as well as your asset profile. So there are times in which you can go beyond that, but 41 is a pretty good rule of thumb that you want to stay at.
Within that DTI, so would you classify like automobile insurance or food expenses as part of the DTI, because those are kind of like bill, or like an electric bill, or what is considered within the DTI realm that would be factored into that 41%?
So factored into that 41% is going to be any consumer debt such as credit cards, unsecured loans, student loans, auto loans, as well as the principal and interest payment on the mortgage, along with your taxes and your insurance. What's not included, food expenses are not included, utilities are not included.
Okay.
That is a different calculation when we look at what they would call your residual income. What residual income is how much money do you have left to live on after all of your bills are paid. They want to make sure that you can buy clothes, you can put food on the table, things of that sort. So that's your residual income. So it's two separate calculations. They do take a look at utilities. They take a look at income taxes in those calculations.
Awesome. So I'm gonna kind of like switch gears on you a little bit. So how do loans, the VA home loans, compare to traditional loans? So like your conventional FHA and things like that.
Yeah, the traditional loans or conventional loans, again, Robert, as I mentioned, we do really an analysis of all the different options that are out there. When a veteran comes to us, we want to make sure that we're serving them in a way that gives them all their available options and see which one makes the most sense. In many cases, it is that VA loan that makes the most sense, but there are some things we got to be aware of. The VA does charge what's known as a funding fee, and that funding fee can range from 0.5% all the way up to 3.3%, depending on down payment and whether or not you've used your benefit in the past. So we factor that in when we compare to some of these other home loans. Many times, the VA loan is going to be the one that makes the most sense because, as we mentioned earlier, you don't have that private mortgage insurance. But we'll compare each one and see in a chart, like in a table, and say, all right, here's what each one is. Here's the going rate today. Here's your costs associated with it, as well as that monthly payment.
So question, funding fee. What if you're a disabled veteran that has a percentage of disability, whether 10% or 100%? How does that factor into the funding fee in the mortgage home loan process for VA home loans compared to the traditionals?
Yeah, if they do have any service-related disability, whether it's 10% or 100%, they are funding fee exempt. That's a huge benefit because when you're comparing your traditional VA home loan versus even a conventional home loan with 20% down, as I mentioned earlier, interest rates tend to be a little bit lower on VA home loans. So in that case, VA loan is almost always going to be the best product out there for them.
All right, let's take it a step further. Like, how do VA home loans compare to like FHA loans and like USDA loans?
Yeah, when I compare those from VA to USDA to FHA to conventional, FHA and USDA loans also charge upfront fees, but they also have that monthly mortgage insurance premium, which again increases your monthly payment. Now, conventional loans don't have any upfront fees generally, but they do have mortgage insurance that's going to be real specific to your credit score. So you might see a very large mortgage insurance payment if your credit score isn't as good.
Okay.
So when comparing, again, a veteran loan to a conventional loan, specifically if the credit score is not perfect, that mortgage insurance is going to be, pretty expensive on a conventional loan, making that VA loan that much more attractive in terms of overall monthly payment and cost in order to get into a property.
Okay. All right. So now that we've kind of learned the comparisons between the different loans, let's talk about like the refinancing part. Can you kind of explain a little bit about the VA streamlined refinance loan, or what they call EARL?
Yeah, the EARL is the interest rate reduction loan, again, commonly referred to as an EARL or a streamlined refinance. It's really a great product in that it allows veterans to refinance, take advantage of lower monthly payments without having to go through the process of income qualifying again, without needing a new appraisal, which is nice. So it is a great product that they just save money, 12 good payments on time. I believe you're eligible for an EARL after 210 days from your first payment date. So that's definitely a strategy that we'll utilize when taking a look at a client situation and letting them know about that.
Okay.
You can also do a cash out refinance, which means you're either taking cash out from a regular VA loan that you've previously had, or going from a conventional or FHA loan into a VA loan. And there's a few different things to be aware of on that. You can get up to 100% cash out on your property, although the rates tend to be a little bit higher in those circumstances depending on the lender. So a good rule of thumb is to stay at 90% if you're really trying to maximize your interest, or minimize, I guess, your interest rate, not maximize.
Yeah.
Getting the lowest,
Yeah.
maximize the benefit, lowest
Maximize the
overall
benefit,
monthly payment there. But both are great options for the veteran, and again, don't have any private mortgage insurance when looking at those options.
So like to get into a refinance, whether it's an EARL or a cash out, like what's that process look like?
Yeah, the qualification process is going to be very similar as to that of a regular purchase. We're going to analyze your overall situation. As I mentioned with the interest rate reduction loan, there's not income qualifying again, so we don't need pay stubs, W-2s, tax returns, things of that sort. And we don't need a new valuation, so no appraisal is needed. So that saves on cost, as well as just the processing and time frame of the interest rate reduction
So
loan.
you're just really just dropping the interest rate is what it's doing. You're still keeping everything the same, just dropping the interest rate.
Just dropping the interest rate, new payoff from your existing lender. There is title insurance that we have to deal with and pay for, as well as if you don't have a service-related disability, they do charge a 0.5% funding fee. Although many
That's
lenders,
what I was curious about. Like,
Yeah.
is there a cost now to do the EARL
Yeah.
for the veteran in order to do it, to get that lower interest rate?
Yeah, and the VA is really good about that, in that the benefit versus the cost in order to do an EARL has to be paid back within 3 years.
Okay.
And you'll see actually many lenders actually cover the EARL funding fee, as well as many of the closing costs in terms of title insurance or any processing underwriting fees, things of that sort. And a lot of times they'll cover the funding fee for you as well. So it's definitely a great option. But specifically, the VA does have a requirement. Any costs have to be paid back within 3 years.
Okay, that's great to know. So let's say I'm ready to take that next step and I'm ready to get a VA loan. What do I need to do?
Yeah, reach out to an approved VA home loan lender. You can find that at benefits.va.gov for an approved lender. And check out the reviews. Make sure that whoever you're dealing with is licensed through the consumer NMLS, which is the National Multi-State Licensing System, that there's someone that's reputable and knowledgeable on VA home loans.
So quick question is, Novus Home Mortgage one of those providers to the VAs?
Yes, absolutely. We are an approved VA home loan lender. We work with many veterans all throughout the United States. We lend in all 50 states. So we can help veterans with relocations, first-time home buyers. We can help refer them to real estate agents in almost every market out there. We have locations all throughout the United States.
Makes it easy to understand, like, you can go to Novus Home Mortgage to get it. They've already been vetted. They're here with us. We've also taken a look at them. And that's why we're here. He's a great expert and has brought great experience to inform veterans like what their options are based off of their experience and how they can help. And Jodi's been amazing. I've worked with him, and I would recommend him any day of the week.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Robert. It is really all about coming alongside veterans and figuring out, what steps they need to take. We always say it might not be right now, but we want to help you become a homeowner in the future whenever you're ready, all right? And what steps you need to take in terms of saving for down payment or paying off other debts so you can become a homeowner.
Yeah.
So we love working with people, and sometimes it's quick, 30, 60, 90-day process. Sometimes it's many years that we work with our clients. So it's finding somebody that's willing to just answer your questions, take the time to help you understand, become educated within the process. That's always one of our approaches. Right,
and that's invaluable.
Yes,
it's invaluable to always be there for the veteran or the person and help them out.
It helps them make a wise choice, right? Once they're informed, they can analyze what's out there and then make a decision that best fits them and their family. We can only guide, right? Like, we can't make the decisions for you. So
yeah.
If we can educate you on what is title insurance, what's entitlement, right? Like, what does all that look like? It's the best thing we can do for our clients.
Well, I know I want to thank you for coming on, but before we go, how can veterans reach out if they need the help with a VA home loan?
Yeah, you can click on our link below and it'll have my contact information. You could feel free to reach out to me in that way. Here to just be a resource, answer any questions that you might have, guide you along in the process. Or if you have documents or are concerned about maybe a VA home loan that you've been working with on another financial institution, more than happy to look over, review that paperwork with you, make sure you understand it, and I can give you feedback on, hey, are they a little bit on the expensive side? Are they within market? And that way you can make a wise choice. And so we offer all that free of charge. That's not something that we charge for. We're here to help. We want to help consumers, specifically veterans, purchase more homes. So feel free to reach out on the link below, and we're here for any questions that you might have.
That about wraps it up. I'm Robert Hoffman with Veterans Guide. Make sure you like, subscribe, and if you have any questions, leave them below, and we'll get back to you. Have a great day.